You don't have to be very informed to know that currently the world's hegemony is being disputed between two superpowers. People's Republic of China and the United States are two countries that, with their combined economies, make up approximately 40% of the global GDP. How did we get to the point where Beijing and Washington are facing off in a Cold War, in which, in addition to arming themselves, both contenders are blocking each other economically? In this video, we will address the relations between both titans since the emergence of the People's Republic of China, formed in 1949 after the Civil War in which the Chinese Communist Party came to power. Are you interested in reviewing this history full of ups and downs? Alright, then stay until the end of the video, a video that was made in collaboration with my colleague John from our secondary channel Political Map, a new project where we talk about geopolitics and current affairs. I'll leave the link in the description. As always, let's go back to the background. After the Second World War, a civil war broke out in People's Republic of China, fought between the nationalists of the Kuomintang and the communists. During the hostilities, the United States, under the command of Truman, decided to send General George Marshall in order to mediate between both sides and reach a peaceful resolution. However, the Marshall mission was not successful, and the communists led by Mao Zedong ended up taking power in mainland People's Republic of China, establishing the People's Republic of China on September 21, 1949, while the nationalists moved to the island of Taiwan, founding the People's Republic of China in Taipei. After Mao's rise to power and the establishment of his communist government, relations with the United States deteriorated as a result of the great rivalry that the latter had with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and more than anything with communism, which resulted in several conflicts in which they participated indirectly or directly. In early 1950, during the Korean War, People's Republic of China intervened, supporting its neighbor, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, helping them repel the invasion of United Nations troops led by the United States, fearing that the conflict could extend to Chinese territory. This results in the withdrawal of the invading forces from Democratic People's Republic of Korea territory. Following this, during the administration of John F. Kennedy, United States officials concluded that the People's Republic of China was more dangerous than the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The United States was then forced to invest its influence in preventing People's Republic of China from obtaining a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, a mission in which it was not successful. Another tense episode in the relations of these giants occurred in 1958 during the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis, when People's Republic of China attempted an attack on the island of Taiwan. This attempt was not successful, as the United States, responding to the Mutual Defense Treaty that both states have had since 1954, came to the aid of Taipei, providing them with cutting-edge equipment for the time, such as fighter jets with anti-aircraft missiles and considerable military assistance from the United States Air Force. Interestingly, the anti-aircraft missiles that the American planes had were somewhat unknown in terms of their operation by the communist bloc. In an air combat against Chinese aviators, an American AIM-9B Sidewinder missile hit a Chinese MiG-17 but did not explode. When the plane landed, engineers used reverse engineering to figure out how it worked, and thus, in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, they created their copy, the K-13 anti-aircraft missile being a virtually exact replica of the American one, which was soon distributed to all members of the socialist bloc. By these years, the People's Republic of China was already consolidating itself as a regional power in the Asian continent, so that during the Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese army received training and various resources, such as rifles, pistols, anti-aircraft, and engineer battalions from People's Republic of China that would be responsible for repairing the damage caused by American bombings. By 1964, People's Republic of China managed to complete its nuclear program, which set off alarms in the United States, where they considered carrying out a preemptive attack, which was not carried out due to the great risk this could entail. By the late 60s, the landscape begins to change a bit, with American troops slowly leaving Vietnam People's Republic of China's gaze turned to the voice, which they viewed with some distrust since the breakdown of relations in 1956, and after the invasion of Czechoslovakia to change its rulers. This distrust left People's Republic of China diplomatically isolated, and a possible approach to the United States began to be seen favorably, who in 1969 began to lift trade restrictions with People's Republic of China. The Nixon administration was a key point in the rapprochement between the two states. Initially, People's Republic of China negatively pursued the figure of Nixon, who instead believed that it was in the national interest to approach the Asian giant, mainly to penetrate its market of over 1 billion potential consumers. Incredibly, the event that brought these two countries closest together was a ping-pong match played in Japan between an American athlete and a Chinese one, which led Mao to approve a visit and a match in People's Republic of China. The mistrust on both sides was a diplomatic approach. Glenn Cowan's visit marked the first time an American set foot on Chinese soil after the revolution, and this episode was marked as ping-pong diplomacy. Forrest Gump film parodies this unusual encounter. In July 1971, a few months after a secret visit by Secretary of State Henry Kissinger to People's Republic of China, President Nixon announces that he accepted an invitation to meet in Beijing with his counterpart. In the early months of 1972, Nixon made 2 trips to People's Republic of China, one to Beijing and another to Shanghai, becoming the first U.S. president to set foot on Chinese soil. Following these meetings, the United States gradually began to recognize People's Republic of China. The rapprochement between these states brought a kind of security for the remaining years of the Cold War. However, this did not bring about major changes to these countries' alliances. For example, People's Republic of China continued to support the Democratic People's Republic of Korea regime, with which it remains a partner today, and the United States continued its fight against communism, so we can assure that there was not a drastic change in these countries' foreign policy. It could be considered that it was an approach out of interest, mainly commercial from both sides. On January 1, 1979, the United States formally recognizes People's Republic of China as a state instead of Taiwan. Since then, both countries began to work together on bilateral agreements that led to several joint projects in areas such as science. By March of the same year, the first embassies were established between both countries in their respective capitals. For its part, Taipei condemned Washington's decision, and protest broke out in both the United States and Taiwan. Because of this, the U.S. Congress approved the Taiwan Relations Act, which allowed unofficial relations with that state and the right of the United States to provide defensive weapons to the island, among other aspects. At the beginning of the 80s, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the Vietnamese invasion of Cambodia incredibly strengthened Sino-American ties, leading People's Republic of China to buy weapons from the United States and to joint military exercises near the border with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. During the early years of Reagan's term, known for his clearly anti-communist speeches, the relationship between both countries temporarily retracted a bit, but then continued almost as before. An anecdote that remained from these years was during Reagan's first visit to Beijing in 1984, where he gave one of his speeches emphasizing the values of freedom in all its aspects and his support for capitalism and democracy. Few people got to see this speech in People's Republic of China, as the government banned it from being broadcast on national television. In 1989, due to the violent repressions carried out by the Chinese state's repressive forces against various political protests in Tiananmen, several Western countries pointed out that the Beijing government was violating human rights, which triggered a series of economic sanctions and suspensions of exchange programs for officials and arms exports from the North American country and Asian giant. After the Tiananmen incident, relations between People's Republic of China and the United States were greatly affected, reaching levels as bad as those of the 60s. In 1996, tension returns to the Taiwan Strait in the face of a threat of invasion by People's Republic of China. The United States once again comes to the aid of Taipei, sending 2 aircraft carriers to calm the waters a bit. Eventually, the tension returned to zero and relations normalized, generating bilateral agreements between these states on issues related to non-proliferation of nuclear weapons and human rights. Prior to Trump's inauguration in 2017, he contacted the president of Taiwan, marking the first time an elected American leader who had not yet taken office had made contact with the leader of Taipei since 1979. This sparked doubts and rejection in Beijing. Meanwhile, the Chinese economy was growing exponentially, until in 2018 it amassed a GDP of $13.61 trillion. This growth, which had been brewing for years, alarmed the authorities in the United States, who to this day is the world's leading economic power with a 2018 GDP of $20.54 trillion. But the future projections are not in their favor. This created the necessary conditions for a fierce trade war to be waged at the end of the 2010s, which is still ongoing today. In March 2018, it established tariffs for the import of Chinese goods, mainly aluminum and steel, to which People's Republic of China responded in April with taxes on 128 types of American products. According to Beijing, this would mean a loss of $3 billion annually for the United States. By September of the same year, Trump announced a 25% tax on $250 billion in merchandise coming from People's Republic of China. In addition to the trade war, the current COVID-19 pandemic began to emerge at the end of 2019, -19. This pathogen caused more friction between the American and Chinese administrations. For example, both accused each other of being responsible for the spread of the virus and wanting to profit economically from the pandemic. Also in 2020, the United States imposed sanctions on People's Republic of China after the discovery of re-education camps for nearly 1 million Muslims in its territory. The Trump administration was marked by this trade war it maintained with the Asian giant, where neither of the two nations was willing to give advantages to its rival. The relationship between these two giants is undoubtedly one of the key points to analyze when we observe the international reality. It remains to be seen how the situation will continue with the Joe Biden administration. Do you think relations between these two superpowers will improve? Don't forget to leave your comment, and if you like this video, support me with a like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on my social networks, and if you are interested in supporting this project, any donation on Patreon, where we can talk about history, will be welcome. In addition, you can find exclusive content on my platform El Mapatasiba's TV. See you next time.